Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Skyline Shore with FreeMMOStation. This is going to be my editorial. It's going to be my rant style video talking at your faces, talking about mainly Phantasy Star Online 2 and its journey, very long journey, to the West, if it's ever actually going to come out. But we are also going to be kind of touching bases on why lots of games don't actually transition well from territory to territory, culture to culture, country to country, and stuff like that. Why is it so hard for developers and publishers to actually push out games into other areas of the world? And I'm going to hit this hard and fast right here for you. Mainly, we want to talk about Phantasy Star Online 2 because this is a prime example of a game that seemingly is very good already. It even already has an English translation. So seemingly, why isn't it just releasing in the West? Why don't we have it in America? Why don't we have it in Europe? Why don't we have it in the West if we can already read it and play it and it's seemingly a good game? Well, the main issue here, very similar to Blade and Soul actually, is that some mechanics of the game and some artwork might not be quite acceptable for the mass audience, okay? Needs this game to be successful pretty much instantaneously because they do need to rent or get or buy, whatever. They need to get new servers to house the Western players. And these servers are expensive. And then you have to also hire new people to manage the community, and you gotta just do a lot of work just to upkeep the game. So it's really important not to have anything super duper controversial like Blade and Soul's clothing issue and physics. I know you guys have seen on the internets. But yeah, so they try to kind of get the image that would really fit for the audience, for the culture. It's also really important like things like pets or armors or even bosses, monsters. Maybe sometimes they're a bit graphic for the culture. This is actually a big thing in Western games that go over to the East. Because a lot of Western developers like to have skeletal-like creatures. Okay, for instance, World of Warcraft and Dota 2. There are entire characters which are essentially just bones. However, that is not permitted in certain countries and areas in the East. So whenever those games, well, it took them a while to actually translate over there, but whenever those games actually are pushed over to the East, they had to completely redesign those characters. So I think, in my personal opinion, maybe it's a little bit biased, but it seems like it's much easier to actually push games to the West. It seems like we're more lenient on things that we can show off, but however, there's still that appeal. You still want to appeal to the most amount of people, and you don't want to be upsetting. So if you want a lot of people playing your game, you want to have the most lowest rating possible for age, so maybe like 16 plus or rated T for teen. You want that so more people are able to buy it and more, just kind of looking into it, at least, as long as there's no like bad shade being thrown onto the game like with Blade and Soul with its physics and everything. Yeah, I think that's an artistic decision. I like that, but, for a mass appeal for the audience, newspapers, websites, whatever, sometimes maybe you want to retool that for the audience, and that is okay. That's just one small reason out of many reasons that can actually postpone a game being pushed to the West or another territory for a really long time. So yeah, there are some things that aren't quite mechanical, but aesthetic that do need to change. Okay, so for instance, let's talk about cash shops, okay? Maybe there is a bunch of items in Phantasy Star Online 2 that are direct cultural references, but when it comes to the West, how are they going to guarantee money? Why would Westerners care about niche culture references to the East when we're not even aware of it? So why would we purchase that pet that looks like that famous idol or whatever? Why would we buy this armor that looks like this niche anime character's armor? Like, why would we care? So you have to retool aesthetics of the cash shop. And now let's talk about the cash shop itself, how it works. This is something very important because over in the East and over in the West, we accept different kinds of cash shops and stuffs. In many cases, and I believe it should be every case, but in many cases, free-to-play games are designed with their cash shop in mind, okay? So if you make a game that is incredibly grindy, your cash shop should probably be to alleviate that grind. However, when it comes to maybe a different culture, they see that as technically pay to win. Maybe some of the items in your game really are pay to win to them, even though maybe it's not technically to you. It's just like there's a lot of gray areas when it comes to games and alleviating grind. Is it actually winning the game, or is it just alleviating how much you need to win in order to get to the next stage or the next level or whatever? What is winning anyways in MMOs? Can you win an MMO? Pay to win and the whole cash shop system, it's all very gray at the moment, especially going from culture to culture. So yeah, people gotta tiptoe around and try to retool their cash shops, which is incredibly vital for a free-to-play game, especially a persistent game like an MMO. So a free-to-play MMO, they have to be really careful and make sure they do their research, and then they can launch it after they made the correct choices for that culture. And I'm kind of talking all vague and everything because really it is very vague at the moment. You have different publishers in different areas, and they are the ones in control of the cash shops sometimes. So yeah, you gotta work together, it's a give and take. I have no idea why they do these payment schemes and stuff. There are some, yes, some of them are schemes. Some games are truly pay to win, and some aren't pay to win, but they are so grindy that they might as well be labeled pay to win. There's no way the majority of players is truly gonna enjoy the game by just grinding it out for hours and hours and hours. So as you guys know, you guys play free-to-play games, you know that there's a lot of different cash shops. But one thing that we don't know is we have no idea what cash shops are like in other territories. We just don't. In a lot of cases, it's illegal. In a lot of cases, especially with like our Vindictus video you guys mentioned, that you can't even play games, even though it is in your language, just because there is an IP block. There are so many tiny laws and rules, and then of course you have to take into account the culture changes. Trying to get the most money out of your product is smart, but it really sucks. It sucks for consumers, and I think it hurts the developer and the publisher overall when they don't ever actually release their game, period. So to the west, Phantasy Star Online 2 might as well not even exist. However, there are talks, and of course there almost always is, some custom-made servers, private servers. This allows you to play the game, just not on official servers, so you don't have official support. And normally these are modded, but in the case of Phantasy Star Online 2, I imagine it would probably just be the normal English game, but without a cash shop, period. We see this mostly with subscription-based games, with people who don't want to pay the subscription, or old games that have been rebirthed. Now, like Toontown Rewritten. It's an old game that was canned, but now you can play it just without the cash shop. It's actually better than ever. So yeah, Phantasy Star Online 2 has been out for a while. It was actually released on Windows PC in 2012. Oh my goodness, there's a PlayStation Vita version that came out the following year, and the game is just exclusive. Japan, Southeast Asia. It's just exclusive for probably a multitude of reasons, but basically, the company probably isn't making enough money from their game. They probably just don't have enough money to expand, and there's a lot of work in actually expanding and pushing it into other territories. Or I don't know, maybe it's just they just don't feel like it. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the game is solely specifically designed for an Eastern audience, and it would just be simply way too much work, and you would basically get no reward for actually bringing it over to the West or other cultures, other countries. There's just basically no point. Maybe that's the case. Either way, there's just a plethora of things, reasons why it probably hasn't come over yet, and now you know at least a few of them. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Skyline Shore with FreeMMOStation. This was my editorial rant style video. Hope you had fun while I talked at your faces. And absolutely, like and subscribe so that you can stay tuned for more.